Welcome to the MiningNewsWire Podcast, powered by IBN. This original audio production delivers market and sector insights, as well as exclusive interviews with innovative executives shaping the future in fast-moving industries, and may feature a client partner of IBN or one of the 60-plus investor-focused brands within IBN's dynamic brand portfolio. As a multifaceted financial news and publishing company, IBN leverages its extensive distribution network, utilizing multiple proprietary corporate communication tools to introduce both public and private companies to a vast and diverse audience of investors, consumers, influencers, journalists, and other targeted segments of the public. IBN may have received compensation to produce this audio content. Please be sure to read IBN's entire disclaimers for full disclosures. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the next revelatory episode of IBN's MiningNewsWire Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for making us part of your day as well as part of your due diligence as you look for smart and fresh plays out there in the market today. Now, to that end, we'll be speaking with Trillion Energy International Incorporated for the very first time today. The company's currently traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol TCF, and they are traded on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol TRLEF. We are joined today by Dr. Arthur Halleran. He is the CEO and Director of Trillion Energy. And Arthur, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for making time for us today.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So when we talk about your company, listeners, first I want you to go to the company website. You can do so by visiting trillionenergy.com, spelled exactly how it sounds, Trillion, Trillion, energy.com. And of course, visit us here at the Investor Brand Network. Click on the Clients tab, and there, in alphabetical order, you'll find Trillion Energy International Incorporated. But since we have the CEO and Director with us, Arthur, if you will, give us a little bit about the company, its business model, and a brief history on the company.
Okay, Trillion Energy is an oil and gas producer offshore Turkey. So we have the SASB gas field in the Black Sea, and then we also have an oil field onshore. And the field's been producing probably since around 2007, another series of drilling in 2011. And we took over the field, the company in Turkey in 2017. And then in 2022 to 2023, we drilled another 5 wells to tag into new gas pools, and also recompleted one. And they were long-reach, directionally drilled wells.
Well, very good. We want to learn about the team, starting with yourself and those that you've surrounded yourself with. As a CEO, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Trillion Energy?
Yeah, I'm a geologist by trade. I have about 44 years of experience. I have actually a PhD in petroleum geology, and probably worked in about 39 other countries, and also probably about, over half of my experiences in international. And I started with Trillion Energy in 2011 as a director, and in 2017, I took over as the CEO and management. And my CFO is David Thompson, and he has probably more years than I, probably 50 years of experience. And he did work with Sea Dragon in Egypt and numerous other companies. And then I have Scott Lauer, who is the CA, and he's the president now of our subsidiary in Turkey. And then I have a whole series of directors, which you can see in the website, and they're pretty experienced people.
Well, very good. Yeah, well-established team I see you've surrounded yourself with. Let's look at this year so far, since we're entering the fall months of 2024. And please feel free to go back further if you would like. But, foundationally speaking, what are some of the milestones as you see it as the CEO your company's been able to achieve so far?
Okay, so when we picked up, we actually bought a company that had the assets in Turkey, and the gas field didn't have any economic gas production at the time, and also did not have a reserve report, so there was no value. And so even though it had about $600 million worth of infrastructure, and we're a 49% interest holder. The 51% partner is TPAO, which is a Turkey government petroleum company. Anyways, so the offshore gas field, because there was no reserves, the facilities were written off. So we actually picked up the company that was in Turkey for about $2.4 million, and it was for the oil field that was onshore. And then after we picked up the company, we got a new reserve report. Well, we actually gathered all the data because the data was missing. Got a new reserve report, and we operated the drilling. And so in 2022 to 2023, we spent about $80 million, and we paid about half of that because part of the asset was not only did we have the 4 platforms, the subsea gathering system, and the onshore facility, there were also 4 gas fields that were discovered but not put on production. And the field was producing from 4 other gas fields that were closer to the platforms. And so they felt more comfortable drilling those ones and tying them in. And so all we ended up doing was, with the new technology advancements, before they were only comfortable going out about 1.4 kilometers. And so we went out as far as 3 kilometers. And so we just brought on reserves. And because we were using, long reach directionally drilled wells, we could perforate it right away. There was no wait. And we just produced up the borehole onto the platforms, into the pipelines, onto our gas facilities, and right to the sales line. And so we did that in 2022, 2023, but it was new technology. And so even though we were getting good gas production, we stumbled. And the whole issue was we used 4.5-inch production tubing, whereas before it was 2 3/8. So we ended up getting a water loading issue, and the wells stopped producing at about 2 to 2.5 million cubic feet per day. But what we just did recently now is we started in July. We went and reperforated all the remaining pay in the gas wells, and that is so that we can change out the larger tubing size for the smaller tubing size. And currently, right now, we're probably in about 6 to 6.5 million cubic feet per day from 3 of the wells. But once we get the new tubing in, and we'll be doing that here shortly, we expect production to be in the order of about probably 12 to 15 million cubic feet per day, and half of that is ours. And the good thing is that we're in a high natural gas price environment. We get about now about $10.29 US and MCF. So that's the milestones right now. So we have the production, and so the next couple of weeks we'll be putting in the smaller tubing size, and the main milestone will be news releases saying that we're producing each well at about 2 to 2.5, and we'll get that level constant production for a couple of years. And when you look at the price we get, we'll end up getting about $24 to $30 million US a year in revenue.
We're speaking with Dr. Halleran. He is the CEO and director of Trillion Energy. The company's traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol TCF and on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol TRLEF. Thank you for that background on the company. Now let's look forward, if we could, Arthur. Rounding out 2024, and I know you touched on a lot of this currently. What are some of the things you'll be doing in the next few weeks? But as we look at the next 3 to 6 months, operationally speaking, what goals have you laid out for your company?
So again, with the SESB gas field, so we were basically just converting reserves that are not producing to reserves that are producing. So the 6 wells that we're doing now, because we drilled them before, and now we're just going to change the velocity. It's called a velocity string, where you can change the tubing size. Like I say, that'll give us about 12 to 15 million cubic feet per day. And then towards the end of 2024 and then start into 2025, because of the work we've done, there are some legacy wells from 2011 2007, there's about 5 of them. And some of it will end up, maybe putting a artificial lift for water, and also look at some incidents where we could end up maybe doing a small sidetrack and tag reserves that are not being produced. And so that's another 5 or 6, and that'll add another, in the order of about another 10 or 8 million cubic feet per day. So that's the next stage. So it's still reserves, the 6 we got now, a new 6, and it's not going to be really long reach directionally drilled wells that, were costing us 14, 15 million. It'll be about 8 or 9 million sidetrack type wells. But on top of all this, also we've got the 3D seismic reprocessed, and we're mapping it currently right now. And we're finding a whole series of additional exploration type targets, which are stratigraphic. So all the reserves that we're looking at right now are all structural related. They're little rollover noses on the fault. And then now we can see there's a whole series of stratigraphic type gas pools that we will end up testing with an exploration well. So that's what we'll end up doing towards the middle to end of 2005.
Well, again, I want you to learn more about this company. I gave out the website, which is trillionenergy.com. You can go to investorbrandnetwork.com, click on the clients tab to get a really deep dive along with investment considerations, a newsroom for the company, a full profile on the company. Arthur, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking with you. I expect great things from you and your entire team here in 2024 and well beyond. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right, for Dr. Arthur Halleran, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in.
The MiningNewsWire podcast is an original content production powered by IBN, a multifaceted financial news and publishing company that delivers next-generation corporate communication solutions. Utilizing proprietary corporate communication tools such as news aggregation and syndication, social communication, and brand awareness techniques, among others, IBN introduces both public and private companies to diverse audiences to enhance reach and recognition. IBN may receive compensation for services and solutions provided to its client partners. You should assume that the owners, officers, and directors of IBN or financial analysts mentioned in this production may hold a position in and may intend to trade the securities in their own accounts. This production is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that may be mentioned in this production. The information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be or should it be construed as investment advice. As in all investments, investment in the featured companies carries inherent investment risk. Listeners should review the companies thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This production by IBN is not purported to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used in statements of fact have been obtained from featured companies and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by IBN as to completeness and accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice. Please see IBN's full disclaimers and disclosures at www.ibn.fm/disclaimer. Music in this episode is by Infraction. For more, visit inaudio.org.